Council meeting, October 21st, 2025, here at City Hall. It's 12 p.m. This is called to order. Mr. Quinn, would you open us a word of prayer?
Be glad to. Heavenly Father, we thank you for another day of opportunity, another day of growth, another day of honoring you, worshiping you. Father, thank you for your love, your mercy, your kindness, and more than that, your grace. And above all, thank you for your Son, Jesus Christ. Be with us, grant us as council members with the wisdom and knowledge that we need. May we act according to your will. May we be respectful and bless the city of Jasper. In Jesus' name I pray. Amen.
Amen. Mr. Richard Brzezinski.
Yes.
Mr. Richard, you have 3 minutes, Mr. Richard, when you get to the podium. Thank you.
First of all, my name is Richard Brzezinski. I'm a retired citizen of Jasper. If I offend anybody, I apologize ahead of time, but it's a touchy subject. Homelessness. Cities of all sizes should have a plan to help address homelessness. It affects every community and has significant social and economic consequences that both people experiencing it and our community as a whole. A comprehensive plan helps cities address the issue systemically and proactively. Is it in Jasper? Unfortunately, yes. I've been told 7 to 30 cases. Info is from different sources. Have I seen it? Yes. Where? 2 examples. Sandy Creek Park, Brooks Brothers Shopping Center. Do I know of any the public may know not? Unfortunately, yes. It hurts me that they are embarrassed and afraid of what people will think of them and treat them like. They know the stigma that comes with being labeled homeless. You're an addict, a bum, lower class, criminal, homeless, and a drag on society. They know help is very limited here. How many others are hidden here among us and afraid? That troubles me as a human being, and it should everyone. There is countless people trying to help, and most of them are barely surviving in today's climate themselves. If you look at our federal system, it's dysfunctional and unreliable. The states are overwhelmed. We would like, those of us that want to help, would like the city to step up and be leaders. We don't want you to do everything, but a program, do we have a plan, execute a plan, a confident place for all to help, an information highway in one place, keeping pace with the times. It's going to be ever changing. One coordinated effort sustained by the city and all others, businesses, charities, organizations, churches, citizens. 3 minutes is not up. I strongly believe that awareness is out front here. Homelessness is here in Jasper, and if we think it's just going to go away, well, remember this. We got hit by a bad hurricane, and it hurt bad. Every now and then we take smaller hits, and we know in our hearts another one will one day hit us again. We have to do as a city is have a plan. Is it a sufficient plan? We have one for the hurricane. Will it work? We pray. Homelessness is that kind of situation. There's so much more to this subject. Thank you.
Thank you, Richard. Mr. Rodney, or where they come on up. 3 minutes, please.
Mayor McLean, Mayor Pro Tem Holmes, Council Lady McCoskey, Council Lady Horns, and Councilman LaQuinn, and Councilman Mayhaw. Thank you for allowing me to come before you. There's several things that concern me that we have going on in our city. It started at the beaches, and it also started on college campus, and that is the motorized bicycles, motorized scooters. I've almost killed 2 individuals on those things. I don't know if it's a city ordinance, I don't know if it's a law, but something has to be done. When we were out holding up the signs and letting everyone know that we protest against abortion, and all the gentlemen came through on a traffic behind them. If a car would have swerved around this truck, they would have hit him and killed him. They do not need to be in 96. Some of those things would run 30 and 40 miles per hour, motorized and electric. We see them sometime in our parks when I'm walking. I know I don't look like it, I'm overweight, now I'm eating good. And the other thing is, they're in our parking lot at Brookshire Brothers, they're at Walmart. City leaders, I ask that we do something to put curtail or to stop them from being in 96, being in parking lots, being in our parks when we have senior citizens walking. I know there are signs posted, no skateboards, no bicycles, but these motorized scooters and bicycles are going to get somebody killed. If you don't do that, at least put something on the table where they must wear a helmet, reflectors, flashing lights or something. Please do your parts, ladies and gentlemen, and I relinquish the rest of my time to whoever.
Chief, can I ask you a question?
Sure.
In our neighborhood, there's several, side-by-sides. Are they legal?
No.
I mean, we've had several tragic accidents.
The only way they are legal is if they are going to and from a farm. They own a farm, have a farm exemption, and they have to certain flags and the reflectors in the back. But they can only be going, say, pick up feet and go back. That's the only time it can be on a roadway. No way can it be in a neighborhood just riding around or anything else like that. It's completely against the law. No blinkers, no license plates, it doesn't matter. You have to have a population, and your city ordinance has to be set aside for that particular reason. We don't have that.
What about the scooters that Mr. Nolan?
They're not considered, they don't have enough CCs, they're not considered a motorized vehicle. They're electric, or they're not above 90 CCs. If you have a scooter under, I think it's under 90, I think, or you don't even have to have a Class C motorcycle license. Because it's not considered a motorcycle.
But is it a law for them to be in the highway 96?
As long as they don't stop traffic, then it's not considered, it's like a bicycle. As long as they're not impeding traffic, you see what I'm saying? Then, you can't walk and impede traffic. That's where you come into problem. I mean, right now they're just treated as bicycles, they're all so new. If you go to Austin, you can rent them, they're everywhere.
You just walk up.
You put your credit card up there, and there's Lime, there's about 15 different brands of them, and that's where everybody travels now.
And they have parking spots for them as well. Thank
You ride all downtown.
Yeah.
But I'm not saying it would be something to look into, you just gotta be real careful of how you word it, because if you start limiting bicycles, because that's what it is electric bicycle.
Motorized,
But it has to be of a certain CC where Texas recognizes it as motorized.
okay. Thank you. Thank you, Council.
Okay, all right, let's get back to the agenda. Item number 1. Consider for approval, discuss, and provide guidance in the level of the oversight that the city council would like to engage in to perform the desired levels of oversight of the JEDCO expenditures and other activities of the JEDCO board.
Would you like me to come up to the mic?
Yes.
Mr. Mayor, City Councilman, thank you for this time. I asked this to be placed on the agenda, for several different reasons. One of the things we've been talking about at Jetco is, you know, where do we go from here, and some of the things we wanna do, changes and stuff. And we did have the one item that was left over from the previous board, well, a couple of items left over from the previous board, but one of them was, that we're gonna talk about here in a minute, the Bell's clothing store. That being said, it's leading us to ask questions about what the law says about oversight from the city to Jetco. And we asked the attorney after our last meeting, because we had a discussion about the oversight, we asked the attorney after the last meeting to give us an opinion of what that law actually says. And in section 501.073 of the local government code, it's very clear that the city council is supposed to be approving all expenditures of projects and expenditures of the Jetco board. Now, when they say approve, that comes in several different forms, several different fashions. And the memo I got from the attorney says the only way that we can spend money, any money at all technically, is to have guidance from the city council on what oversight they want and at what level of oversight do they want. And I'm sure you don't wanna, you know, you approve our budget every year, and that's been the practice in the past, is just approving the budget. And then you have oversight of who's on the board. You can remove or place anybody on the board at any time. That being said, I don't believe that meets the spirit of the law. So what I'm asking for y'all to discuss and consider today is, I know the Garza decision had a recommendation of approving everything over $50,000. And I'm here to ask that y'all either consider that number or a different number, but I don't think you wanna get in the weeds of everything that we do at Jetco. Is 50,000 reasonable? Yes. Is it, you know, you could argue that maybe that's too tight, but some level is appropriate. And I don't want to be approving projects at Jetco without oversight. I don't want to be approving Jetco when the law clearly says y'all are supposed to be providing that oversight, and not just oversight, actually approving some of the expenditures that we do make. So it's not just an oversight issue. The law is very clear on this, that y'all are supposed to be approving major expenditures as well. So that's why I asked to place this item, instead of having the board try to discuss and come up with a number and y'all having the same discussion anyway. I felt like I wanted to get guidance from this city council, because technically you are the oversight body to Jetco. So I believe this is the proper place to have this discussion. And with that, I'll field any questions or let y'all, start the discussion. We know that the Garza decision, like I said, recommended $50,000. Is that adequate? Is that too tight? That's for the city council to tell me. I've heard anywhere from 10% of our expenditures a year. We're basically $1.2 million a year revenue coming in from taxes. So that would be approximately $100,000. If that's too loose for the city council, I just would like to have that guidance. And whatever you give us guidance, we will take this back and get it into our bylaws. It's our responsibility to get our bylaws changed and get this approved and come back to you with the bylaw changes. So with that being said, I'll either field questions or let the city council take it from there.
Who's got some questions? Mr. Mayor.
Button. Sorry. Am I working?
Yes.
Give this a lot of thought. You submit a budget to us each year, and to me, those line items on the budget that are on there are approved when we approve the budget. I do not want to have to decide how much toilet paper you can buy, or how much you pay the cleaning lady, or your mowing contracts. That should be part of that fixed budget. In today's environment and what we're seeing with other transactions coming up, in my personal opinion, the 10% number is good, because you're having to negotiate sometimes multi-million-dollar projects, and to the people you're talking to, 50,000 is much money. And so I don't wanna put you in too small a box, that you have to be here calling special meetings every week to do your business. We've picked you, we trust you, we expect you to be good and honorable people, which I think by and large is what y'all are. And so I could easily go with the 10% without any qualms whatsoever.
Mr. Mayor, I'd like to add something. I'm gonna fall back or go back to Mr. Mayhar's opening comments. Day-to-day operational expenses are the budget, and when we approve that budget, that takes care of the toilet paper and the pens and the pencils and paper, et cetera. So the day-to-day, those expenses shouldn't even be part of this conversation. From day one, I've always believed 50,000 is too low. If you know anything about business, if you've ever had to negotiate real business stuff, as I've said in country boy terms, if you're coming to the table, you need some serious folding money in your back pocket. 85 was always a number I had in my mind. 100's not far off of that. I could go with either one of those.
May I be recognized? Can you hear me?
Yes,
Can
I
you hear me?
can.
I think it would be helpful, for the council members and the mayor who were not here with the former council to do a little review, about the JEDCO board and the Garza opinion and what we're discussing right now. So over a year ago, myself and other council members began to receive complaints about the former JEDCO board. The former city council voted unanimously to hold a joint city council JEDCO meeting. However, the former JEDCO board refused to attend, so that meeting was not held. When the question of the legality of the JEDCO board was brought by a JEDCO board member due to lack of reappointments, the former council and myself worked many months to hire an attorney to give us an opinion and recommendations on JEDCO. The first attorney hired, Ross Fisher, resigned. Then our city attorney recommended that the council hire Frank Garza, who is considered a leading expert on municipal government and economic development issues. The council received an opinion that was attorney-client privilege, and it was advised by Mr. Garza and also our city attorney, Mr. Moran, for the council to meet an executive session and discuss the opinion and to appoint and remove members. Instead, multiple meetings to do so were canceled, and when the new council was elected, Mr. Garza's opinion was released publicly instead of what both of these attorneys recommended. A new JEDCO board of directors was appointed, I believe, on July the 28th, and after more cancellations and resignations, the new board finally met later, I believe in September. So since that time, the new board has met, and a few times, this council has approved a bylaw change to increase the board size from 17 to 18 members. However, none of the recommendations made by Mr. Garza have been put into place with the bylaw changes he recommended. And I feel it's important for the JEDCO board to understand the relationship between the city council and the JEDCO board. I've read before what the law says, and Mr. Grant also just informed us of the opinion from their own attorney. But the law is very clear. You can find on the Texas City Attorneys Association that the EDC works on behalf of the city. That's Local Government Code 501051. The EDC is a nonprofit corporation that has the powers, privileges, and functions of a nonprofit corporation incorporated under Texas law, subject to the Development Corporation Act and the control of the governing body of the corporation's authorizing unit. And that's Texas Local Government Code 501054. The board of directors are appointed by the city council, and they may remove a director for cause or at will, and that's Texas Local Government Code 501062. Bylaws must be approved by the city council. That's Texas Local Government Code 501064. The city council must approve all EDC programs and expenditures and annual review any financial statements of the corporation. Plus, the city council is entitled to access the corporation's books and records at any time. That's Texas Local Government Code 501073. The EDC board may only recommend its certificate of formation with the approval of the city council But the city council can amend the EDC certificate of formation at their sole discretion without consent of the EDC board. And that's local government code 501.301. All assets upon dissolution transfer back to the city, and that's Texas Local Government Code 501.406. Looking at the provisions of the Development Corporation Act, it's clear that the legislature intended the EDC to function on behalf of and as part of the city creating its corporation. The city's control and authority over the EDC, its most fundamental aspect, is clear. The city and the EDC that the city created are entwined. So the point of reading this and saying all of this is this. I spoke to Ms. Peak, and we spent $3,892 on this opinion. And not with the new board, but with the former board, there were a lot of issues about expenditures not being brought before this council. I do not believe that to approve a budget is staying on top of what's happening at our economic development. And I would also like to say that recently, we received an audit report from a forensic audit. And one of the things that the audit looked at was Provolus and Jasper United. And there were almost no records that were kept to prove the jobs that this performance agreement agreed to. I believe there were 47 W-2s, there were 12 payroll reports, and there were no IRS forms. And the auditor who spoke to us at the last meeting recommended that the city council and the city very much be a part of what's happening in our economic development. So just to approve a budget, I don't believe is enough. I also would like to say that if we're gonna pay attorneys, Mr. Morian and also the attorney that he recommended, I think it would be wise of this council to take the attorney's opinion. And his opinion was that the council should approve an annual budget, confirm the selection of the EDC director recommended by the EDC board. All expenditures over $50,000 need to have city council approval, and quarterly reports to the city council in executive session on company prospects, and an open session report on accomplishments. At least one board member should be a city council member and the official liaison to the city council. So I feel like what Mr. Hildebrand recommended, and I understand negotiations, but all cities come before their council. This is not a new thing. It is a new thing here in Jasper, but it's not what's supposed to happen, and we absolutely must have oversight. You're correct, Mr. Mahar, that it is $1.2 million, and so I think the city council absolutely needs to be involved. And so my opinion is that Mr. Garza has given us an opinion, and I think the city council needs to take that opinion. Mr. Holmes, do you have an opinion?
My opinion is go with what the attorney said.
Go with what the attorney said. Ms. Horn?
Same, go with the attorney.
I will stand with, I think we're making it too tight, and it's gonna make it awkward for the EDC to do its job as well as it would like. I know they will comply. In fact, almost everything you stated has been corrected, which is great. But I do think that we are restricting them more than we probably should. I'd hate to have to do this every month, come in and go over whatever item it is.
So, I know you didn't bring that along, but, you got average amount of money that y'all approve is way over $50,000, right?
No, we're in the process of doing, some security on the building. We're in the process of doing, awarding RFPs for the work that we need for the website and for things like that. But if we're attracting new business, then I would say yes. I haven't seen too many requests that have not been over $50,000 when it comes to a project, for bringing new business in. But we do have a lot of expenditures that are below the $50,000. It's just, like Mr. LeQuinn said, it's normal business that we do. But, when we're talking projects, my vision of economic development is to bring in jobs to Jasper and to try to do that. So, we're not looking at, spending small money and stuff like that and not getting any rewards for jobs and stuff in return. My vision is to help industry come to this town. And those type of projects are more than likely going to be more than $50,000. And we have no problem coming in front of the council for those.
Let me ask you a question, in your mind, because that's your job over there. What do you see as a good number that, so you don't have to be here, what do you see, what's in your head?
I'm gonna give you a political answer because I think it's the right answer. I want a good working relationship with the city council. I think that's important. I think economic development is not just the EDC. Economic development is the city council and the EDC and the chamber working together, getting a 5-year strategic plan and coming up with a story to tell about the city of Jasper. I can live with either number. I'm here to tell you that we're gonna follow the law. The law's very clear to me that y'all have oversight over Jetco. And because the law is very clear, I'm not gonna do anything that's against the law because we're not gonna get ourselves into trouble. So I can live with either number.
You say 10%, what's your number, what's your number?
10% of their current income would give them about, $100,000 a year, without it coming to us. The program here with Bells is 160. Gated community, I can't remember how much money was spent on that, but quite a lot.
Can I respond to you, Mr. Holmes? I think the point of the opinion and everything that's happened is so that we do have oversight. Coming before this council is not a bad thing. That is a good thing, so that the council knows what's happening and our citizens knows what's happening. It is a good thing. And I believe we need to follow what the attorney said, just like we mentioned earlier. If I could mention one more thing to Mr. Grant. Mr. Grant, the auditors also recommended that all employees, all elected officials, and all appointed officials sign a conflict of interest policy. And I don't know if you've received those conflicts of interest forms from the city of Jasper, but Mr. Kelly, I would appreciate if you would provide those so we could be compliant with our auditor to sign those conflicts of interest. But them coming before us, Mr. Holmes,
It's not a bad thing.
it's not a bad thing, and other cities do it.
But here's my reason for wanting to talk to everybody, to answer everybody's question. Have you ever worked on a job where somebody stood up to you all day long and buried down with you?
Absolutely.
That's kind of what we're doing, so we pick them over there, right? So we pick them, we gotta trust them.
Well, yes, it's not that we don't trust them.
I'm not saying that we don't trust them, but I'm saying the attorney gave us an opinion.
Yes, he did.
So that opinion is not law, that opinion is a guideline.
Yes, it is.
So we can juggle between us and figure out a number where we don't have to be in here, and they're comfortable doing their job, we're not bird dogging them because we picked them, so we have to trust them.
Yes, and it's not about not trusting them. You're absolutely right. Another attorney could come and give a different opinion, but I think if we don't learn from the past, we're doomed to repeat that. And there hasn't been a lot of oversight with the economic development in like 30 years, Mr. Holmes. And so I believe it's beneficial to kind of, so that we're aware of what's happening over at Jedco for them to come before the council. I believe the citizens, I'm at 50. And what the attorney recommended, because I don't know why we would pay attorneys and then continue not to take their advice. He is a leading expert. Mr. Moran himself picked him, recommended him, and you were here on the former council, so you know what he advised, that there had to be a bylaw change to prevent going forward the mistakes we've seen in the past. I don't believe it's about trust. I believe it's good governance for us to be involved in our economic development. It's not a problem for me to come here and hear a report.
Mr. McQueen, what was your number? Your number was 85?
85. That's been my number since day one.
I can live with 85.
I can't too. I'm fine with 85.
Do I hear a motion?
I move that we, designate 85,000 as the limit, needing required approval from city council.
I think it's just, he wants guidance. We don't actually vote on the
I
guidance.
second it.
Do we? I don't think we're supposed to vote.
I'll call the
on this.
question.
This is not on it's not on the agenda to do that, Mr. Mayhart. Point of order.
I call a question.
Point of order.
It's considered for approval.
I just wanna be sure we're voting on something, that's what's on the agenda. You were just wanting guidance, that not a vote, because you're gonna go back and rewrite the bylaws and what you hear here today, correct, Mr. Grant?
Yeah, that is correct. I wanted guidance from the city council about, we were gonna put a number in the bylaws. And we're also gonna address the other, items that are in the Garza opinion, the conflict of interest, the code of conducts and those type of issues. But I was looking for guidance from the city council because we were gonna put a number in, and I just wanted guidance on what that number should be.
Yeah, I don't think we can vote because they're the ones who write the bylaws and then we approve them, so I don't think that's the procedure, Mayor.
We're not voting on bylaws, we're voting on the guidance information he needs to
This is
incorporate
the
into the bylaws.
information that he's putting into the bylaws,
That's right.
that's what
So
I'm
we-
saying, Mr.
And
Hildebrand.
we're approving 85,000.
Mr. Mayor, sir, we have a motion and a second and a call for the question.
Call for question. All in favor of the motion of 85,000, say aye. Any opposed? Say aye.
Opposed.
We have four, and two against. Correct. You get it, Liz? You get everybody?
Yes, thank you.
Okay.
Mr. Mayor, may I say something? as well?
Absolutely.
Regardless of the guidance, you have a commitment from me that whenever we have a sizable project, I'm gonna come and speak to the council. We're not gonna do anything in the vacuum over there. I think we understand, we can read, we read the forensic report, we read the lack of record keeping. We understand that we're starting from an area, whether it's validated or not, from a lack of trust. And we are gonna be working to fix that. So regardless of what the guidance actually is in the bylaws, you will be seeing my face every time we have a project. And we will be up here in front of the council, informing you and receiving feedback when we have projects anyway. That's my commitment, as long as I'm, president of the JEDCO board. We're gonna have a working relationship to where I'm not gonna go out there and don't think I have to come and explain to the city council what we're doing. So that's my commitment to you, and I appreciate the guidance, and we'll go from there, but my assurance is we'll be addressing the other issues as well.
Thank you for your
Thank you,
commitment.
Bill. We definitely wanna hear what's going on. I understand that sometimes there's gonna be an NDA where you are asked not to discuss certain projects and that type of stuff, but if you can keep us informed of everything that is out front, we'd appreciate it.
And, if I'm not mistaken, and I'll ask, the attorneys, but even if I'm under an NDA, I believe I can inform you in the executive session.
That's
Executive
That's
session.
correct, the NDA doesn't apply to the city council,
I
correct?
want to say, I trust you, Mr. P. You know, Mr. Keith, I thank you, I trust you.
Absolutely. Mr. Wright also back there.
Thank you.
Yeah, we do have 5 board members here,
So,
so.
there you go.
Thank you, Bill.
I'm on the next item too.
Oh, you're gonna stay up there, all right?
Might as well.
Yes. All right, number 2 on the agenda is discussion for approval. The JEDCO approval of providing up to $160,000 to Bales Corporation for the necessary improvements for opening the Bell store in Jasper. Go ahead.
Yeah, so let me go ahead and talk about this project. Bell's, this is Bell's, Florida. It's not the same Bell's Corporation that was in Texas previously. Bell's, Texas, even though it's spelled the same, is a Florida corporation. They've been in business since the early 1900s. There was only one time when they actually had a cutback, and that was, I believe, during World War II. But they've been in business since that time. They're a well-established company, and they are wanting to come in and open a Bell's store here. There's been a lot of press about this. Some of that press was reported erroneously, but they are asking for JEDCO assistance. That part is correct. The previous board you have in front of you signed a letter of intent dated July 30th, 25, and it specified what their ask was, and it also, from our standpoint, specified what we would expect in return. So, that being said, we had a very good call with them on the call, on a Zoom call. Two representatives from the corporation. They explained what they were gonna do, what kind of store they were, and the commitment they had to the city of Jasper. Right now, they're signing a 10-year lease. If this moves forward, they're signing a 10-year lease, and with an option to go a lot longer than that. They reported that they were estimating a $3 million annual revenue for that store. They did commit, and they didn't have to, but they committed to a minimum salary of $15 an hour for their non-management personnel. I thought that was a pretty good concession on their part, because that's a pretty good paying retail job. They also, of course, gonna bring in some, a store manager and some department managers to manage the store. They committed to having 18 full-time employees. We are going to look for, in return for a 7-year commitment in the contract. We're gonna look for them maintaining that 18 employees throughout the contract. And unlike some of the other contracts Jetco has, this corporation does have assets. So it's not like we're giving money to an LLC that if they default on the contract, we don't have a way and mean to get our money back. So that being said, their initial installment without the stores and everything else, $940,000 to get the building in shape. They're putting up $440,000 themselves. The owner of the building is putting up $340,000, and they are asking Jetco for the remaining $160,000. The Jetco board discussed this, and we decided that we would go up to, but not over $160,000, so we put a cap on it. Because in front of you is estimates. They are going to go out for RFPs to local providers for the work to be done, and that was their commitment to them. So everything that this is based on are estimates for those costs. That's why we put a cap on it, not to exceed $160,000. So we actually have a cap. We have a guarantee of a minimum pay. We have a guarantee of 18 employees, and we're gonna look for a guarantee of 7 years, and I will not accept anything less than 5. That being said, the board did approve it 7-2. I believe, after hearing the details and stuff, I do believe the money being asked for here and the money that will come back to the city of Jasper, this particular project makes sense. I will say, and I've been on the record saying that a type A facility, we're gonna be looking for industry and not necessarily retail expenditures. But with my bias towards industry, this project still makes sense to me, and I personally would recommend it as well. Because it's, they've come in and they committed. They've been working on this project for 5 years. And I do believe that the amount of money they're having to spend would have been half of that if they would have got the deal 5 years ago or 3 years ago. One of the things I will tell the city council here, that they brought it up themselves. The city of Jasper has no ordinance about people who have and own abandoned buildings here for the upkeeping those buildings. So a lot of the buildings we have that will attract businesses are just sitting there, and no maintenance are being done on them or anything else. So that's one of the things I'm bringing that to your attention, because that's one of the things that we would like to work with you on maybe changing in the future. It's because we have a lot of abandoned buildings that are deteriorating and sitting there. So when somebody wants to come to town and utilize those buildings, a lot of repairs have to be made, and that's a vicious cycle that we find ourselves in. So a lot of cities have ordinances that require a certain amount of maintenance to be performed on vacant buildings. I would like to see Jasper entertain that concept and do something in the future, because it's a shame. I'll give you an example. The Italian restaurant sitting there on 190, that building is almost to the point where it's almost to the point of condemnation, and it's only been empty for 5 years. So that's an example of letting a good asset just sit there, and especially with the climate we have, that's not a good situation. But getting back to the ask, Bills is, I think, committed to coming here. They made some concessions that I thought swayed the vote. In other words, you know, a retail company coming in and saying that they're gonna guarantee a $15 minimum salary, that was a move on their part. They didn't have to do that. So with that, the board is recommending that the city council approve that, and I do believe, even though it's not in our bylaws, it's an obligation for you to approve this vote, because that's what the law says. So my ask is that y'all approve the JEDCO recommendation of giving bills up to $160,000 upon completion of the work and stuff, you know, afterwards. And we have not started working on the contract because we've been waiting on this vote.
Can I ask a question? I would like to hear from Mr. Chestnut. Mr. Chestnut, if there are not any ordinances in place that apply to abandoned buildings, as, Mr. Grant stated here, there are not any ordinances at all that require the upkeep of these buildings?
There are,
So there are ordinances that require the upkeep of these buildings
yes ma'am,
in place currently?
in place currently.
And are they being followed by the people who own these buildings?
Yes and no, sometimes we get compliance. I have a budget that I believe this year was approved for $9,000. Brandon, the fire chief, myself and, Mr. Boykin, my other code enforcement officer, we're currently working on some of the abandoned structures right now to bring to the council. They're in the process of, being notified. I've already gotten with the city secretary. We posted in the paper. We've posted several buildings. We're limited on the amount of funds that we have on the owners of those buildings that do not comply. And then whenever they get into a certain age or where there's a dispute over 100% ownership, that complicates it even more because we have to notify everyone involved, and sometimes it gets caught up in a legal outside of our control. But we do have the ordinances. We do try to take care of the stuff that we can within our budget. We do have some property owners that take it upon themselves upon notification. We'll send letters, try to make phone calls. But sometimes it's hard to do that when that business changes hands or that property changes hands and no one properly records the transfer of ownership. So we're calling numbers to people that no longer own it. So it's a job, you know, it takes a lot of time, it takes a lot of money to do that on the ones that will not comply.
I appreciate that. I would like to see, just as a council member, the ordinances that we have enforced before we include more restrictions on people to absolutely enforce the ordinances that we have. The building in question, I believe, Mr. Grant, this building is owned by Mr. Dave Phelan. Does he own this building?
I am aware that it's the Phelan Group. I don't think
The
they
Phelan
own
Group.
themselves.
And do you have any, ordinances or any kind of enforcement that you have tried to enforce with this building so far? Because this is an abandoned, building where they're bringing bills to.
Well, just a couple of answers to that. For example, that is a multi-use strip center. So there's a lot of lease spaces within there, some that are being used, some that aren't. It's a fully sprinkler building. So therefore, if any portion of that building or that sprinkler system is not in compliance, then yes, Brandon and I can enforce them and fix them and maintain them. But on the other flip side of that coin, that particular lease space being right there on the corner, if you're familiar with where it sits, in that alleyway that goes behind that strip center, about 3 years ago, I got a service order for a request to inspect and turn the utilities on, and when I got over there, it had been vandalized. Someone had stolen all the copper out of the weatherhead, out of the meter enclosure, out of the outside panel, so I called him and notified him so that they could safely disconnect it there. When I spoke to Mr. or someone at the Phelan Group about that, I told them for them to get the utilities turned on, that they would need to have a permit and to have that minimum, that service repair. They asked me, does that mean I have to do that? Well, they only have to do that if they want their utilities turned on. You get what I'm saying?
I do.
It's a flip side to that. So I couldn't make him fix the service especially if there was nobody in it or it wasn't occupied, or if it was not causing a danger to public safety or to the other adjoining businesses, which, you know, they say kinda got a double edge to it, but they are supposed to maintain it at the minimum to maintain public safety in those adjoining or adjacent businesses.
Yes, my thought is just, if we were enforcing these codes with these buildings, then, Bells would have no need to come and ask us, for the money, to do this project if we were enforcing the codes for these buildings. And I would also like to say to you, Mr. Grant, that I feel, Dave Phelan is our state representative. He represents this area, just like I represent District 4 and Mamie and Mr. Mahar and DeMarcus and McQuinn. And anything that we do to any building is of course gonna, increase the property value for the person who owns the building. I myself, if I own this building and Bell's was bringing, a department store there, I believe that it would be a completely different situation. And so I don't think that we should do this project inside of our representative's, a building that he owns. I think that good governance doesn't even have the appearance of impropriety, and I think it's a bad look. And so I'm against it for that reason, and also as well, multiple citizens, cause we do represent the citizens up here that I've spoken with. They're against the Bell store as well, and they say that the quality of the items is not the same as the Bells that was here before. And so that's my opinion.
Mr. Mayor, can I respond to that?
Yes.
One of the things when we are dealing with somebody that comes to town, one of the advantages I have, is I'm new to this town and I don't necessarily know who all the building owners are and all the stuff, and sometimes I consider that a good thing. Bell's is the one that approached me. To me, the project still makes sense regardless who owns the building. Jasper has a lot of empty spaces, a lot of empty buildings that are probably owned by 8 or 9 different families in this town. There's no way you can get around that. That's, they've owned these buildings for a long time. So I'm looking at it as Bill's coming to me. In exchange for making the funds available, they're gonna meet certain requirements. Those certain requirements have economic benefits to the city that makes sense to me. Regardless who owns the money, if Bell's fails, I'm going after Bell's to return that money. So I understand who owns the building, but that was not part of my decision-making process, because I'm cutting a deal with Bell's of Florida, and the economics work in this case. And if they don't meet up to their end of the bargain, it's Bell's that I've got the agreement with, and Bell's that I would be going after to get Jasper's money, Jetco's money back. So I understand the concern. I've heard that concern a lot, but on the other hand, when you have a new business and you wanna come to town, you have 3 options: not to come, build a new building, or rent an existing building. And you're not gonna bypass certain family names in this town if you're gonna rent a building. And that's a fact of the way this town's made up. So my only point is, I'm cutting a deal with Bell's. The Phelans are not part of the discussions as far as Jetco's concerned. I understand who owns the building, I understand public perception, but this deal makes sense to me, is why I'm recommending it.
Yes, sir, and it's not that it's a certain family's owned buildings. He is an actual elected state representative, and that's the difference, I think, between other families or people who are wealthy owning buildings here. He is an actual elected state representative. That's the difference. That's the issue I have with it. Sure.
Well, I've got one question. Are we dealing with a corporation or a person?
We are dealing with Bell's Florida, it's a corporation.
I'm talking about, the Phelan building.
I'm not dealing with the Phelans at all. They have not been part of this discussion.
Yes, go ahead.
I know 18, you said they agreed to have 18 jobs for it. You said 7 years, but you said you won't take any less than 5, right?
Yes.
And you also said that they agreed to hire local. Did I hear you say that, sound like?
No, they're looking at local people to perform they will be hiring local, but I don't know that they won't be importing their general manager and stuff like that. So we didn't get them to commit to that, but yes, they will be hiring the retail salespeople locally. But when I said locally, they will be going out for RFPs to perform the work in the building that needs to be performed. and the local people have a chance to bid on those, on
So
that
out
work.
of those 18 jobs, how many jobs do you think they're gonna make from your work?
Well, the 18 jobs will be actually Bill's employees. If somebody wins the air conditioning work, the electrical work, the plumbing work, well, I think the majority of them will be from here.
So they may get changed and it's 15 people live, probably not a job.
And even the ones that come in will be residents of Jasper and be participating in the economy.
Mr. Grant, okay, what your board members like to join you, I think?
I just have a general question. My question is, what's the expected revenue? If they were to come, I just did the math, if 18 employees or higher, times the hourly rate, that's $28,000 a year, times 18, that's be about $518,000 a year revenue. Well, salary's gonna be paid. If you do that time 8 years, it's $4,147,000. I just want to make that point sure that we do.
Yeah, and that's not including the tax revenue off the estimated $3 million in revenue per year. And did you say
$4 million.
$15 an hour was 20,000 a year? That's more like 30,000 a year.
I'm sorry, we can't take discussions with values. This is a council discussion, sorry.
I'm part of the board.
Well,
Mr. Grant,
Mr. Grant's on the podium.
Mr. Grant, my understanding of, our community and where we sit, salary-wise, our median income in Jasper is about $34,000 a year. Is that about right? The rule of thumb on how much a year someone makes is their hourly rate doubled, so $30,000 a year. Using that rule of thumb for those employees, which puts them in the strata of the average income in Jasper, Texas. So I think it's good. Also, Center Texas now has these Bell stores. And there is a shoe company, I understand, that partners, if the Bell comes, the shoe company comes, right? So it's buy one, get one free. Am I understanding that correctly?
That was mentioned from Bill's that they would be an anchor store with some others to follow, but there's no guarantee of that, so that's why I did not present that, but that was part of the presentation. That they would be an anchor store, and they do partner with other stores that would actually consider coming in. The shoe store was one of them. that
They have done that in Center Texas.
Yes, that is their normal business model.
If I could just ask one more question. The jobs provided are not guaranteed for citizens of Jasper. I think in some of the performance agreements before, and that is the former board, that is not the new board. You guys are completely different people. But it's not promised to the residents of Jasper. In fact, with some of these other performance agreements, it is said that they can bring any employees they already have employed at their business, and they count those as jobs. So are we guaranteed the jobs are gonna come from Jasper residents, or that these are employees that they're bringing with them, Mr. Grant?
The way I look at it, they might bring some of their management personnel, but if they do that, they will become citizens of Jasper because they're gonna move to this area because they're gonna be working here. But I don't think they're gonna move retail people in from out of state. They will be hiring that locally. Now, whether they live in the city limits or their surrounding area, I can't put those kind of restrictions on the store but I do believe they would be hired from the area. But I cannot guarantee all 18 jobs are gonna be local, but I believe, I can tell you they will become local because they'll be living and working here.
I like to make a motion, me personally, I like it because I think it changes my understanding here. And I like the business model, I like the revenue business. I'll make a motion to approve.
I second it.
There's first and a second. Any further discussion? All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
All opposed?
Opposed?
Four approved, one opposed.
Thank you.
Thank you, Bill.
Got scared.
All right, Chief, you ready?
Yeah.
All right, item number 3, consider approval of resolution authorizing the submission of the Homeland Security Grant Program application.
Yes, sir, and this is kinda like Ms. Stover did the last time, it's just formalities, y'all have to approve, I'm applying for a grant, there's no matching funds that's coming from y'all. I'm trying to update our camera system slash, how we enter our facility and also handheld and mobile radios. No guarantee we'll get it, but there's a company I'm working with called Verkada that's trying to help me along. So I just need a resolution approved by y'all so I can submit the grant.
I'll make a motion with approve.
Second. Make it second.
Any further discussion, questions? All in favor? Say aye. Opposed? Passes unanimously. Thank you, Chief.
Yes. Mr. Mayor,
Yes.
I make a motion we remove from the table consideration of the variance request from Mark. We had tabled it previously, so we could review what we wanted to do with that.
We don't have to remove it from the table.
Okay, great, let's deal with it.
Consider approval the variance request for 2007 Marshall Drive. Mr. James, come up, please.
Mayor and council, the variance request that's coming up on Marshall Drive there. In the packet, you'll have the variance request from Ms. Cooper. The current existing lot and the accompanying survey that's in your packet as well. The shape of the lot and the placement of the existing homes, there are 2 homes on it. Where Ms. Cooper lives, she lives in that rear building along the property line, and there is no rear yard for her storage building to go. We ran this through our department's supervisors to check for any utility easements or access issues that may be caused by approving it to be there. Everyone signed off on it. We recommend that you approve this variance request.
I'll make a motion we approve.
There a motion, I hear a second.
I'll second.
Any further discussion or questions? All in favor, say aye. Any opposed? Passes 5-0. Thanks, James. Council discussion time, anybody? Mayor?
Again, I'd like to thank everyone for coming today. I appreciate y'all's participation in our county government. I'd like to let you know that I have visited with our solid waste department, reviewed it, talked with the staff, and I have found that they're doing an excellent job. They meet or exceed all state and federal standards through their plant and deserve our appreciation. Thank you.
Anyone?
I have a couple of things if
Yes,
nobody
ma'am.
else. Mr. Hildebrand?
I have nothing.
I spoke to our, city manager, Greg Kelly, and I would just like to clarify a few things. The council voted, to give hams to the city employees. There wasn't, an amount or who the bid was given to or how many hams there were, because this was simply an approval. And so some of the information that is out in the public, I want the public to have what the absolute truth of what's happening here. So please get the minutes, please watch the videos, please don't believe some of the things that, you hear, because another issue is, with the fireworks, that we redirected, funds for the fireworks. I would like to clarify that the $25,000 that the city council voted, to go towards the fireworks is not going to Debbie Foster or to KJS, but is in fact with Mr. Greg Kelly and is gonna be for the fireworks. I would also like to clarify that when we changed the funding with the Chamber of Commerce, the hot funds were already decided by the Jasper Forward Committee. The city council did not decide your funds, so if there is anyone who is upset about their funding, I advise them to get with the Jasper Forward Board, because the city council did not affect that in any way. We only voted to redirect the Chamber of Commerce funds. With Mr. Kelly, there's been an issue where there are people who are talking about, smart meters. And we voted to update our infrastructure back in April. And this is an advanced metering system. These are not smart meters like you see in California that are gonna control your air condition and report to City Hall how long you've had your heater on. That is definitely not the case. Mr. Kelly, can you please, speak a little bit about the meters?
I'm gonna let
Lee,
Mr. Rowland.
Mr. Lee, if you would please speak about the meters, because this has caused quite an upset. If you could, please tell us about the meters.
So, the meters that we're looking at, or actually we've purchased, they are an advanced meter. They're only capable of doing a certain amount of things. With today's programming, you know, it's all about the programming and what you pay for. So with what we bought, you know, we're looking at just a few small things, gathering a reading, gets a voltage reading, gets an amp reading, and, actually tell us whenever it's out. It does not communicate with anything in your house like an actual smart meter does. So those smart meters have the capability to, you know, it doesn't really control the device in your house, it just communicates with it, because these larger companies, they'll bill off of peak demand on the daytime. You know, if you're operating some of this stuff during peak demands, they're gonna charge you for it. So we're not gonna have that capability at all.
And you want to be able to know when there's an outage where you can go and fix it, because right now we have to call and say, hello, City Hall, my electricity is out. And these new meters and updating our infrastructure is to help the citizens, where you will know that it's out and you'll know where to go and fix the outages, correct?
That's correct.
So it's not smart meters in
That's
any way.
Very correct.
And the only difference is that you're gonna be able to see the outage, and this new system is gonna make it where everyone can get onto their phone on an app and see outages and see their bill, just like Entergy, just like any of these other companies. So it's not a smart meter, correct, Mr. Lee?
That's correct.
Anybody else have any questions for Mr. Lee?
I'm motion we adjourn.
Second.
We are adjourned.